In this video, we are going to be covering some of the hottest news with the hottest upcoming mints dropping really soon, as well as some updates on some of our favorite projects. All right, so the first project we're gonna talk about is Azuki, everyone's favorite golden child, right? And so as you know, Azuki is one of the most popular NFTs just in general, especially when it comes to that anime style. And they recently airdropped everybody 2 beans, right? So if you had an Azuki, you're gonna get 2 beans. And everybody was wondering, okay, well, what are these beans for? And when we're looking at Opensea, it's really just like this bean, and there's like this little placeholder image, but it's like, okay, is it gonna be an NFT? Is it gonna be clothes? Is it gonna, like, what is it exactly, right? And people are speculating on what it could be. Now, what's really funny is that on the Azuki website, you know, they've been putting these little bean characters on the side. Everyone was wondering, like, is this gonna be the NFT that hatches from the bean, or is it just a placeholder? Like, what's going on? Because it's kind of like so different from the Genesis collection. And then there's some big news coming out today, and you know what? I think people are surprised that these little bean characters are actually what's going to be hatching from those NFT airdrops, right? With these little bean characters, they're going to be able to, I guess they exist as an NFT itself, and you probably can attach it to your Azuki and kind of like put it on his shoulder, right? So this one's on the shoulder, this little shadow here. And we see another one where this is the blue one, which is a little bit more of an angry kind of face, and he's more of like the bad boy, I suppose, with the graffiti, and he's like peeing everywhere. This guy's more of the nice guy. I guess different characteristics for different people. So you have this one, this guy's peeing over here, right? This guy's like surfing on the ledger pretty much, right? This guy's kind of like skateboarding, right? Because Azuki is like the skaters of the internet. And there's a little purple bean over here, which hasn't been teased too much yet. I think this is the first time I've seen it. So, you know, maybe there's like a female version of him, right? So how are people reacting to this news? I think first of all, people are surprised. They're probably like, oh, what the heck? Like, Bored Ape, then they have mutants, and it's something cool, and then you're giving me this bean, right? And so if we're looking at the floor price was about, 5 Ethereum going all the way to 6 Ethereum. I guess people knew there was going to be an announcement, insider trading maybe, I don't know. And then after the announcement, basically this price just dumped. So, I mean, it could be people just like buying this NFT so that they can sell it for later, because it's kind of like you buying on the rumor, then you're selling on the news, and then right when the thing drops or right before it drops, a lot of people sell, but maybe people aren't really feeling it that much. And so it just drops quite a bit all the way to 4 Ethereum, bouncing back up to 5. I was kind of expecting more, to be honest. I thought it was going to be like Azuki Genesis level, where it's going to be like super cool, but we got these little bean characters. But at the same time, it is kind of smart where you create a character that's a little bit more memorable and iconic, and like you can put them on like backpacks and notebooks and like pencils and stuff like that. It opens an opportunity for them to do like different type of merchandises, right? Like, for example, Karafuru has the little plushie over there, right? And it wouldn't really make sense to have a plushie of an Azuki human being, because that's not that cool. But if you had a plushie of like a red bean or blue bean, that would make a lot more sense, right? Or if I had, like, say, my laptop over here and I had a sticker of a red bean, and people would kind of get that, right? People wouldn't know. So I kind of see where they're going with this. Like, if they're looking at, let's say, Hello Kitty, for example, right? Hello Kitty is a very simple, iconic character. And if they want to create their own kind of character that can like be everywhere, I can see why they chose this direction. Will it actually work? It probably will, to be honest. I feel like people will gradually like it over time, and then they're gonna figure out some good branding for it and like, make this like a thing. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. It's not what people expected, but I think it could work. Okay, so the next project that we're gonna talk about is we have an update on Karafuru, right? Last time I talked about Karafuru, I said that they had a 3D project coming out, and there have been some news on this. So they recently dropped this 3D trailer, essentially kind of teasing some of the different styles and clothing and elements that they have to this game. They did release some official pictures of what the NFT is gonna look like. So this is one of them where it's gonna be the human one, and he's wearing like more of this hypebeast clothes. And again, this is a collaboration between Atmos as well as hypebeast, so obviously they are going to do that streetwear kind of aesthetic. And this guy has like some swords. Another character over here, which is another human, different color eyes, got different drip with the hypebeast puffer jacket with leopard skin shoes. So it's pretty cool, I would say, because the different Karafuru, there's like so many different shapes, and like not all of them are going to be super popular, right? It would be seen like on the floor, for example. So like this one with the football, Hey Arnold football head shape probably isn't the most popular. Seems like this guy's not that popular, this guy's not that popular. So my guess is they're going to take the most popular silhouettes and turn them into like more hypebeast kind of things, which would make sense because they're learning as they do this. And if they're going to do the round 2, you might as well just take the best ones and work with that. And also it's like less work as well, because if you cut out the ones that nobody wants anyways, then you just get the ones that people do want, right? So the drop, I think it's happening within the next month. I don't believe there's an official date, but they're definitely pushing to make this happen, especially if they're doing these releases. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And if you do want one of these, there's ways to get whitelisted if you join the Discord and learn about them more. And if you also hold a Genesis Karafuru, you will get one for free. They're going to airdrop it into your wallet. So the next thing we're going to talk about is going to be Cyberkongz, right? One of my favorite projects. So Cyberkongz, they recently announced that they're doing a round 2 of Kongz Tank, meaning it's kind of like Shark Tank, where they give you some funding, some Ethereum, some bananas, so that you can build within their ecosystem. Now they did do this before, and if you're new to NFTs, you may not know this, but there are a couple projects that came out of Kongz Tank, and that was the Littles, and the other one was Zen Apes. I don't know if they were or other ones. There probably are, but they escape my mind. The question I personally have, and I'm genuinely curious to know like how this works, is that they're supposed to build on the Kongz ecosystem, right? But I haven't really seen them really do anything with that. For example, you know, as people know, Cyberkongz produces 10 bananas a day if you have a Genesis, and it's like, okay, but is the Littles using any of these bananas? That I feel like the Littles is kind of going in their own direction of like doing this IP play and trying to create like TV shows and movies and like toys and like clothes and stuff like that. And then Zen Apes, I mean, I haven't followed up with them in a while, but then I'm checking their website and verified collections. Okay, they're building Zen Task, a social and professional network to users to create trusted Web3 identities. Okay, that's pretty interesting. How does that work? I don't really know, to be honest. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see how this round 2 is going to go, because we haven't really seen an example of, you know, another project actually using the bananas and actually burning them. I mean, tokenomics in general for an NFT project is very difficult, and I've been saying this a lot on my Twitter. Make sure to follow me on Twitter if you want the latest alpha, by the way. But like, if you look at, let's say, Kongz bananas, right? They're going crazy during the euphoria. Everyone is trying to get babies, and then right now it's kind of like, it's not dying, but like it's a lot less than it was before. It's like $5, right, or $6. So it's like, okay, well, what are you going to use the bananas for? What are the sinks, meaning what are the projects that are going to burn these bananas because you're producing more every single day? And if these projects in the Kongz tank actually find ways to burn the bananas, then the bananas increase in value. But then the projects that were supposed to do it, I mean, I don't know their deals, right? It's just like me outside looking in. I'm not like an insider and friends of everyone. I don't really see anyone burning the bananas. So I am curious to see like how this is going to work in the future. Now, I saw Kaiju Kingz do a tweet, and he said, "Welcome to the lab, Cyberkongz," and then looks like they're collaborating in some way. So like Kaiju Kingz also has their own token, R-Waste, and if they're finding a way to burn bananas as well and do some kind of collaboration, and it's like actually official, that would be pretty cool, right? And if we look at Kaiju Kingz as well, if we're looking at, you know, the price of their token, so Kaiju Kingz produces, I think, 5 R-Waste every single day, and then at the beginning, it's like, oh yeah, like it's exciting, and the price is up. It's like $20 a token, so everyone's like, oh my god, I'm making like $80 a day. And then people don't really have a use for their tokens that much. And then over time, the price drops, and then it's like $4 right now, right? You know, what's really interesting was that, you know, back in the days, like a couple months ago, it was, people are like, oh, Cyberkongz are better than Kaiju Kingz. Kaiju Kingz is like, everyone's like trying to be number one. What happens is the market changes, people have to adapt, and then suddenly like you're super hot one day, and then maybe you're not as hot as before, and then now you have to collaborate together to stay alive, right? And so that's pretty much what the sentiment is, in my opinion, where people are realizing that you have to collaborate instead of trying to say like, oh, I'm the best, I'm going to be number one, because the market slaps you in the face when you're becoming overconfident, and then you realize that you actually have to do things a little differently. And I think a really important point that I've been tweeting a lot about recently is that when a project comes out with a token right off the bat, you have to understand like it's very risky, right? And so there's a lot of new projects that you might see where they're just like, oh yeah, we're gonna launch a token right after mint, and then we're gonna do a marketplace where you can buy whitelist, and then you're gonna use your tokens to buy real life merchandise. You know, you're gonna use your tokens to, you know, book a hotel, and it's like, okay, cool. It looks like, it sounds like there's a lot of things you can do with the tokens, but in reality, not really, because yeah, you can do those things, but how valuable are they really? And then when you look at the price of the token, it's like, oh, okay, it's not that valuable. People, a lot of times they hype it up or they try to make you feel excited about it, but then it's very difficult to do, right? Especially because if you look at tokenomics, meaning it's like you're building an economy. If you launch a token and your NFT is producing, let's say like 10 tokens a day, right? How do you know like the economics of how those tokens are going to work 1 year from now? Because there's nowhere to spend it. So what if you have like, you open a fire hose and it just keeps pumping out money, and then it's like, it just ruins the whole economy because you can't find ways to actually use those tokens for anything. You can't burn them, and then people just stack it up. And then the only reason for why people bought your NFT in the first place was because that passive income, and that income's not worth anything, then the NFT becomes less valuable, right? For me personally, any new project coming out where they're like, oh, we have a token, we're gonna do marketplace, this and that, I'm super skeptical, because it's so difficult to build an economy that's like, can be stable, especially in the NFT space where everything's like so short term. So you want to be careful, because a lot of times when people are talking about tokens and this and that, you're going to get this NFT, a lot of times those prices come crashing down eventually. And so you have to know when to get in and get out if you're trading for the short term. And then for the longer term projects, when they do drop a token, let's say like ApeCoin, like there are different ways to do it where it maybe can be more sustainable versus like an NFT just producing a bunch of tokens every single day. So it's something to keep an eye out for. I'm just letting you guys know, because I don't want you guys to be fooled about like, you know, an influencer or somebody saying like, you got to buy this thing because it's producing tokens and each token's worth like $20. It's like, okay, it's $20 today, but then next week it's like $1. So be very careful about that. So next project we're going to talk about is Moonbirds, and as you know, it's one of the hottest projects right now. The floor is like 18.45 ETH, and you know, so far it's been pretty steadily consistent, going in the upward direction. So a lot of hype for this project. The volume definitely has slowed down quite a lot, but then if the floor price is consistent with low volume, then that's probably where the market values that thing. Why I want to talk about this again is because, you know, I thought about it a little more deeply yesterday, yesterday and had a conversation with one of my friends. He has a regular job and he's just been studying like NFTs for a while, but he never bought anything, right? And then when Moonbirds was coming out, what was interesting is he's told me that he pooled money with his friends to buy a Moonbird. So this is someone who never bought an NFT. Like, he doesn't know what a Cyberkongz is. He doesn't know what a Kaiju King is, but he wanted to buy a Moonbird because everyone's saying great things about it. And then, like, obviously you're not going to want to spend like 9 ETH on your first NFT, right? So he pulled money together with his friends to buy a Moonbird, and they all bought this thing together as their first NFT, I believe. So this is really interesting to me because certain type of projects that build some kind of hype or have credibility or have a feeling of that if you buy it now, you will get a high return on investment. Those are the projects that people will actually save money for and enter into the market. Let's say like an older project that's been around for a year, everybody kind of knows who they are and they're already aware of that project, but maybe they don't want to buy it, right? Because the conversion rate to like awareness to buy is low, or it's completely saturated. So no matter how much marketing they do, it's hard to get more sales because there's no reason to buy it. They already know what it is. But the projects that can get more mindshare of the average person who doesn't know what an NFT is, or doesn't have to, maybe they know what an NFT is, but they never bought one before, that's really powerful. So I feel like yesterday I proposed the question, all these people are buying Moonbirds and there's so much volume for it. Where's the money coming from, right? I kind of have my answer. I think one part of it is like a lot of people, are selling different NFTs to buy Moonbirds and have that liquidity for that. And there's going to be a lot of people who have crypto money in like coins and stuff and they move it into NFTs and they're like, Moonbirds is the one I trust. And then there's like average retail investor who is like, they want to get into NFTs, they want to make money, but like everything looks like a scam. They're not really sure, but because Kevin Rose is doing Moonbirds and it's part of True Ventures and they're a multi-billion-dollar VC fund, that's the one I'm going to buy. Those kind of narratives are very powerful because it can get the regular person who doesn't have an NFT into their ecosystem. And so learning from this, I didn't buy any Moonbirds, but like the ones that actually can capture the imaginations of the regular person, not the crypto person, the regular person, that's the one that probably will get a lot of volume and probably will have the floor increase like crazy, right? We kind of study Clonex, Azuki. Now we've seen Moonbirds, another example, right? You can kind of tell in the beginning that these are the top tier project in terms of how much effort they put in, who's backing it and stuff, quality of the actual NFT and the teasers and like everything they put out. And it's kind of like the risk to reward ratio is actually pretty good, right? So if like another person or group of people put together a high quality project, they have a reputation, they have a lot to lose if the NFT goes bad and the NFT actually looks good, then it's a worthwhile play to have that risk to reward ratio, right? By projects going after people who have money but don't have NFTs, it just automatically onboards all the people who do have NFTs and earns their respect because they create such a good narrative. And I think that's very important for projects moving forward. So when I analyze these projects moving forward, I think one thing I'm going to add is like, does this capture the imagination of the average person who does not have NFTs? And if it does, then that's something that I would definitely look more into. So now the next project that we are going to talk about is going to be Easy Demon Club. Now this is going to be a mint that is coming up on April 23rd to the 24th. Essentially, it's kind of like playing off the anime style vibe, looking at the art. I mean, it's subjective. Like, is the art really that great? In my opinion, it's not as strong as their competition and other people in the space, but for a certain market, maybe they'll like it. Going on the website, this is going to be art. Again, it's like, is it that strong? I personally don't think so, but maybe other people would disagree. Brand that is decentralized. So like decentralized in what way? Doesn't really explain it, right? So it's like kind of interesting where it doesn't really make sense because like Azuki says they're trying to be decentralized. Okay, cool. But then like if you kind of take that language and put it on your website, the problem is that if you're an owner and you own 100% of the company, how is it decentralized? Like you still own everything, but you just give everyone an NFT. So that literally doesn't mean anything, right? I'm not trying to hate on them, but I'm just saying like the language of what they're communicating literally doesn't make sense to me, at least. Maybe if there's more insight, or maybe if I listen to an AMA with the founders, I would understand it a little bit more on their vision. But you know, when it comes to these videos, it's kind of like I'm communicating to you what they communicate to me. So if they don't openly, publicly say what they're going to do, then it's either incompetency or they choose not to do it, right? Okay, so NFT details and team. Okay, they got a team over here. And so they're going to do toys, apparel, token, future drops. So it's a lot of the standard stuff. I wouldn't say it's anything special quite yet when it comes to art and like roadmap and vision. But I do think that if there's an anime meta still going on, I think people would still mint it out. One thing that was interesting is that they're doing a Dutch auction at 0.6 ETH, and then the bottom of it is going to be 0 ETH. So that's assuming that if nobody buys it, then everybody can get it for free, right? That's definitely an interesting thing. I wonder if people will mint it or not. After that, there's going to have the demon list, which is essentially your white list. 60% of the last demon auction price, so the lowest price essentially. The price of the white list is going to be 60% of that. So for example, if the Dutch auction ends at 0.1, then your price would be 0.06. Now, the reason for why most people will choose to do the Dutch auction first is because they're trying to figure out how much people are willing to pay for an NFT, right? So meaning that they're trying to get as much money as possible upfront. And so some people might see that as greedy. Some people might see that as a smart business decision. I'm not saying either, but that's just literally what it is. And I talked to different founders and that's how it goes, right? So when you do a Dutch auction, auction, right? You pretty much put a high anchor price, you let the market decide what it's worth, and then you basically do like these certain mechanics to get people to FOMO in, and then people will pay more than what they would have paid, but then because of that mechanic, they are doing it, right? And then when it comes to the mint list, 60% of whatever the Dutch auction is, okay, cool. I guess it could theoretically be cheap or it could be expensive. It really just depends on where the Dutch auction actually ends up. Like, honestly, will it survive? I'm not really sure. I mean, this is a group of people that have been running companies before, and I believe this is in Indonesia, Jakarta. So they're doing similar kind of toys. You know, they have like this Batman toy over here, they have this Gundam toy over here. Like, how successful is this company? Literally have no idea. What's kind of concerning to me is that they said they started this brand in 2017, right? But when we go on their Instagram, it's like, is this brand even successful? Because recently they're posting all their NFT stuff, which is cool. But then if we look at, you know, they're selling like these pins for like 17 bucks. And then this was like 39 weeks ago. So it's like, where's the content? Like, what have you been doing for the last year? You know what I mean? Like, are you still selling clothes? And then like, I don't really know how much credibility this is when it comes to, like, we started this brand in 2017, because it's like, yeah, I can start a brand too and like do like, you know, $1,000 in sales and call it a brand, right? So I think they're not really being super transparent with that. And I'm not trying to hate on them, but it's just like, you have to ask the question, if people are going to invest in your project, it's like, are you going to capture the imagination of the average person who doesn't have an NFT, right? Which is what we talked about in the beginning with what Moonbirds is doing, Azuki's doing, CloneX is doing, right? And if you're looking for the great projects, these are the questions you have to ask, because you guys are traders. I mean, either you want to be an investor and you want to believe in a project long-term, or if you're a trader, like, you don't care, you just know that there's volume coming in and you want to just trade on that and then get in, get out, you know, it's totally up to you, right? But to make that decision, you have to ask these questions to understand, is this a project worth holding or is it a project worth flipping? And that's just the reality of the NFTs if you want to succeed, right? And obviously, like, they're not paying me to say anything here. They're not giving me any whitelist, so I have no affiliation with them. So freely, and I just give my honest opinion based on what they communicate with me and I communicate it with you guys. So these are the things you got to watch out for, especially if you're a beginner, because, you know, the worst thing is to buy a project and like buy into the hype and then it just goes to zero and you don't know why. And so that's why I'm really trying hard to explain it and putting my neck on the line to kind of give you that information of what I see. So if you want to get more information like this, make sure to join the Parallax Discord. Link is in the description, where we can actually help you out, and follow me on Twitter if you want the latest alpha. So with that said, my name is Patrick Deng, and I will see you guys in the next one.